It's the race where legends are made, where the surf meets the turf, and where 1.25 miles can change everything. From the power of Flightline's dominance to California Chrome's demolition, the Pacific Classic has crowned greatness at Del Mar for 3 decades. And it's a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And this year, the spotlight burns hotter than ever. 8 Titans are coming to clash. The juvenile champion turned question mark. Fierceness, where are you? Can brilliance return at the classic distance? The unbeaten Nysos, Bafford's rocket, who is yet to be tested at this longer distance. And then there's the 3-year-old champion journalism, always a bridesmaid to sovereignty's bride. Is this his time to shine? Speed, stamina, heart, who has what it takes to rise to the top, and who will falter? I'm going to look at every contender and the angles that will help us narrow down those choices for your winner. How are you going to find your winner? Facts and figures are going to give you the winning edge. I give you the stats, you make the picks. Hi, it's Maura from Trifecta and a little bit extra. We're going to go through all those angles and contenders, but first, I want to say this. Horse betting is not legal in every state, so if you're betting, make sure it's legal. Now let's get started where I love to start, and that is angles based on historical data. For this analysis, we are starting with the angles, and they will help you narrow and focus who you think is going to be the winner. I'm going to point out this though. These are just stats. You have to put the horses in context of the stats, or you're going to miss your chance to upgrade or downgrade those horses. Horses don't run on paper, they run on the track. And sometimes they surprise us, which always keeps us on our toes. Now, I went back to 1995 and looked at the past 30 years of the Pacific Classic and the winners. One of the things I'm going to point out to you is this. In 2008, this race actually changed surfaces. It went from the poly track to the dirt track. So if I'm giving you a track-specific angle, I made sure it held up in the dirt. So let's get started with those key angles. The first is going to be form. And what I mean by that is the condition that the horses are coming into this race with. 27 of the past 30 winners, a whopping 90%, either won or placed in their prep race. 16 were winners in that final race leading into the Pacific Classic. 11 came in second. 2 of the 3 that didn't hit that angle actually came in third. Arabian Night in 2023, who came in third in the Haskell Stakes, and Richard's Kid in 2010. Now, Richard's Kid actually won this race in 2009, making him one of 2 back-to-back winners in the past 30 years. Do we have any horses this year who have not won or placed in their prep? Yes. In fact, one of the favorites, the number 1 horse, Fierceness, he just threw in a head-scratching clunker in the G1 Whitney in Saratoga. He came in 5th. Others are going to be the number 7, Lure Him In, and he came in 3rd in his prep race, and the number 8, Tarantino, also coming in 3rd in his prep race. The second angle is class, and what I mean by that is the competition they've been running against. So 26 out of the last 30 winners competed in a graded stakes race in their prep. That is 87%. Graded stakes races are the most competitive and where you find the top runners. Of the 4 that did not prep in a graded stakes race but won this race, we have last year's winner Mixto and Higher Power in 2019, who prepped in a stakes race, just not a graded stakes race. Richard's Kid, who prepped in a race that actually became a graded stakes race the following year. And we have 1 Student Council in 2007 who prepped in an allowance race. Now, we have 3 horses in this year's race that did not prep in a graded stakes race. the number 3 Ultimate Gamble, the number 5 Indispensable, and the number 7 Lure 'Em In, who all prepped in an allowance race. The third angle kind of overlaps with that, and that is class overall. And what I mean by that is a graded stakes win in their career. 25 of the past 30 winners had a graded stakes win, 83%. One that didn't, Mixto, last year's winner. He was one of those horses who had a graded stakes experience, but no win. This year, horses without a graded stakes win include the number 3 Ultimate Gamble, the number 5 Indispensable, the number 7 Lure 'Em In, and 8 Tarantino. Ultimate Gamble has had no graded stakes experience. The fourth angle is a win at the longer distance, and what I mean by that is 1 1/8 or longer. 23 of the past 30 winners had a win at a longer distance race, 77%. Notable winners of this race who didn't have that long distance win was the incredible Flightline. Flightline came into the Pacific Classic with only 4 races under his belt, and the longest was a mile. But Flightline, you look at his sire, he was by Tappet. And we know Tappets produce long distance runners. And that's why I say you have to put these angles into context. Who doesn't have the longer distance experience in this race? Number 3, Ultimate Gamble. Number 4, Nysos, one of the clear favorites. So be careful on that. Number 5, Indispensable. And number 8, Tarantino. The fifth angle, everybody has, so I'm not going to cover it very highly, and that is Del Mar experience. 21 of the last 30 winners had Del Mar experience, but all horses today have Del Mar experience. And the sixth angle is going to be running style. Of the 17 times the race was on the dirt, in 6 cases, gate to wire winner. And then another 5, they were only 1.5 lengths from the leader at the half pole. So look for forwardly placed horses. Who's going to be forwardly placed? Fierceness, if he's on his A game. Definitely the number 2, Midnight Mammoth. He's probably going to be the leader. 3, Ultimate Gamble, 4, Nysos, and 8, Tarantino. The next angle is going to be trainer. Bob Baffert has won this race 7 times. So that's like 1 in every 4. And then there's John Sadler, who has won this race 4 times. And not only 4 times, 4 times in the past 7 years. Another thing I just want to point out, look for horses with that heart, that grit, that's going to get them over the finish line first. You see notes like dug in and ridden out and driven in winners of this race. Now, to be transparent, how well would these angles have done last year? Mixto, who won? Huge long shot. Would these angles have found him? Well, you would have had to do some work to find Mixto. But stay with me here, because this is why I say putting the angles in context of the horse is very important. Let's look at last year's contenders. From the very start, angles meet on Reincarnate and Dr. Venkman. So they would have been your top 2. Reincarnate had all the angles. Dr. Venkman missed out on the win at the longer distance and the key trainer. These horses finished 3rd and 4th. Now you would have had 4 more with 4 to 5 angles, and Mixto was in there. You may have thrown him out because he didn't prep in a graded stakes race or have that graded stakes win, but he did have graded stakes experience. You may also have said, well, he didn't win at the longer distance. But if you liked Reincarnate, you may have liked him because they had the same sire, Good Magic. And also you may have forgiven him for the performances at the longer distances because he found trouble in many of them. Now, the things he had going for him, a place in his prep, which earned him a top speed and also his running style. Now the other horses with 4 to 5 angles, first, there goes Harvard. No top speed, didn't have a win or place in his prep, actually came in 9th. I would have tossed him. Then there's Captain, really great form and speed, but no win at that longer distance, and the sire didn't back it up and didn't have the running style that I really like. Finally, there's Il Miracolo. That would have been a horse I would have kept. He ran a head-scratching race in the Pacific Classic, faded, and got much needed time off. So maybe I would have had Mixto in the mix. He wouldn't have been a standout to the top 2, but at least he would have been in my line of sights. And that's what I say we really need to do with these angles. Take them, narrow the horses down, and then drill deep into the stats, and you figure out what you want to upgrade or downgrade. You get to choose the horses. I am just my guide. So now let's go horse by horse and put those angles into context. The number 1 horse is Fierceness, trained by Todd Pletcher. He gets his regular rider, Johnny Velasquez. He's been on him for all but 2 races. Now it looks like the reason Fierceness is here in the Pacific Classic, his stablemate Mindframe is in the similar race out east, the Jockey Club Gold Cup. And Pletcher is looking to get 2 into the Breeders' Cup Classic. This horse has 12 starts with 6 wins. That means half of the time in the winner's circle. 2 places, 1 show. Now he's tried this distance 3 times with a win, a place, and earned the top buyer, 111, going this distance. Earned it in 2 of the races, the G1 Travers last year and the G1 Breeders' Cup Classic in November. So got the 111 twice, and pay attention to this. It's the top buyer in the field, and it came at this distance. Where? Here at Del Mar. So while Fierceness may be the East Coast invader, he really likes Del Mar. In last year's Breeders' Cup, he finished second to Sierra Leone, but he was holding his own on the lead, setting blazing hot fractions and keeping up, and was still able to finish second, which gets me to his running style. When he is forwardly placed, he does very well, and most of the time, he's within 1.5 lengths of the leader at the half pole, which is why I gave him that angle. Now let's look overall at his angles. He's got everything but key trainer in a win or place in the prep. When Fierceness is on, he is on, but he also throws in a few clunkers, and the last time was one of those clunkers. In his last race, the G1 Whitney, 1.1 miles at Saratoga, he was 6.5 lengths from the leader at the half pole. Now the leaders were a couple long shots and they were going out fast. He actually broke alertly from the outermost gate. He was having a great trip in third, and then coming around the turn, he took the lead. It looked like he was going to win, but he got passed and he weakened and finished 5th. Fierceness is a 4-year-old, which means he still has upside, with 5 graded stakes wins and 3 wins at the longer distances over 1.1 miles, the top speed in the field, the leading running style that I like to see, and honestly, he's going to have to push it coming out of post position 1. And he's got that really great showing at Del Mar last year. There is no reason why not to consider him as a top contender, unless you think that the Fierceness of the Whitney and the Kentucky Derby is the one that's going to be showing up. The number 2 horse is Midnight Mammoth, trained by Craig Dollase and ridden by Armando Ayuso. This is a 6-year-old, and I'm going to point that out because 6-year-olds, you may not see that type of improvement that you're going to see with 3 and 4-year-olds. 36 starts, 8 wins, 5 places, and 7 shows, which means 20 of the times in the money. He has gone this distance 2 times with 1 place and top buyer of a 97, so lighter than Fierceness. And again, this is where age may come in. Do we think he's going to have that improvement to get up to Fierceness or even the likes of journalism? While that top buyer did come in his last race, the G2 Hollywood Gold Cup, which could indicate that improvement, we see that he nearly matched that buyer 2 years ago in the G2 California. So let's get into his angles. He gets 2 of the first angles, which is prepping in a graded stakes race with a win or a place finished. He finished second in the G2 Hollywood Gold Cup, going 1.25 miles at Santa Anita, a key prep race for this race. For most of that race, he was stalking the leader, and then around the bend, he took over. He then had to fight with Skippy Longstocking in the stretch. He lost the lead, but stayed gamely at the end. So he does have that oomph at the end that we really want to see. He's got a graded stakes win, but that came back in July of 2024. The Grade 3 Cougar 2 Stakes, 1.5 mile distance here at Del Mar. That win also gives him a win at the longer distance and that Del Mar experience. In that race, he went gate to wire, winning by an incredible 10 lengths and beating a heavy favorite in who? Reincarnate, who was one of the favorites here last year for the Pacific Classic. Both of those races do show off his running style that I really like. And his trainer says, hey, expect him to get right to the lead. So the only 2 angles he's missing is top trainer, who is Baffert and Sadler, and top buyer. Now, honestly, when this horse comes in the money in a graded stakes race, it's at a big price and he shocks. But you're looking at races where the buyers topped out in the upper 90s. And we have 3 horses in this field who have triple-digit buyers. In addition, he's tried graded stakes races 4 times this year and no wins. Now, this is a really talented horse who's on my radar. He's got that right running style that I love, and man, do I always love an upset. But for me, it's really difficult seeing him beat journalism or Fierceness. However, for me personally, I wouldn't count him out, and I would put him underneath. The number 3 horse is Ultimate Gamble, trained by Mark Glatt. He will be ridden by Kazushi Kimura, who's been on him for the last 3 races. 9 starts, 3 wins, 1 place, and 1 show. This 5-year-old, no graded stakes experience. Of the 3 wins, 1 came through a disqualification of the winner in his prep race, an $82,000 allowance race. Another win was a $55,000 allowance race, and the 3rd win was a maiden race. This horse is very light on the angles. He only gets 3. The win or place in his prep, the Del Mar experience, which everybody has, and the front running style. He is facing deeper waters here with horses that have run the longer distance and participated in higher quality races. Now, he is training lights out. I do want to point that out. But for me, Ultimate Gamble is an Ultimate Gamble in this race, and one personally, I don't see winning against the others. The number 4 horse is the Phenom, trained by top trainer Bob Baffert. It is Nysos, who will be ridden by Flavien Prat, who has been on him for most of his races. Now remember, Bob Baffert has won this race 7 times in the past 30 years, making him that top trainer here. This horse has 6 starts, but I'm going to blow your mind. 5 wins. Yes, I said it, 5 wins and 1 place. So all the time in the exacta. Now he has registered triple-digit buyers. Out of his 6 races, 3 times. And his best buyer is a 108, which he received 2 races back in the Triple Bend Stakes, a 7-furlong race at Santa Anita. This was only a 4-horse field, but he did have competition. Who? Dr. Venkman, who was the favorite in last year's Pacific Classic. In that race, he dueled with Dr. Venkman, but he shook him free and he won by a whopping 5.5 lengths with that 108 buyer. Now he backs up this buyer in his very next race, the San Diego Handicap, a 1.16 miles here at Del Mar. The San Diego Handicap is a key prep race to this race, producing 6 of the past 30 winners. In that race, I like that he was so patient, but he was also stuck on the rail. Now coming around the turn, he finally found daylight. I didn't think he was getting off the rail, and he wins by 2 to 3 lengths with a 102 buyer. Now before you sign up for this favorite, let me just caution you on something. Let's look at those angles. He's got all the angles except for one, and that's a win at the long distance. That's because he hasn't even been tested at the long distance yet. Now he's by Nyquist, and Nyquist is known for being a sire of dirt routers, but he's jumping from 1.16 miles to 1.25 miles, and that's a big jump. And every horse who has won this race in the past 30 years, all but one, has that long distance experience. And who is that one? Flightline. But if you look at Flightline sire, it was Tappet, and we know Tappets produce long distance progeny. Also, you look at Bob Baffert's runners, the 7 that won, all had the long distance experience, and all had the win except for one, Arabian Night. Now, Nysos is an incredible talent trained by one of the best in the business for this race. You want speed? You got speed. Fast workouts, fast races, and he does have a win at the track, something that Fierceness does not have. Will he be able to get the distance and go to that winner's circle on Saturday? Now, before we go on to the next contender, if you're finding this information useful, make sure you hit like and hit subscribe. Summer may be over, but the competition is heating up for Breeders' Cup and for next year's Derby. I'm going to be covering all of those prep races. The number 5 horse is Indispensable, a 4-year-old who is a $825,000 purchase by Constitution. Trained by John Sadler, another top trainer for this race, winning 4 of the last 30 runnings, 4 in the last 7 years. He'll be ridden by Paco Lopez. 14 starts, only 2 wins, 4 places, and 5 shows. He's only had 2 graded stakes entries. One was a 2-year-old, the G1 American Pharaoh, and he finished 6th. The other was the G3 Oklahoma Derby as a 3-year-old, going 1.8 miles and finished 3rd. So this is deeper waters for him. Now looking at the angles, he only meets 3. A win or a place in the prep race, the Del Mar experience, which everybody has, and top trainer. Indispensable prepped in an allowance race, which we said doesn't really typically produce winners of the Pacific Classic. In that race, he was off the pace, but at the end, he dug in and got the win with a 95 buyer. Indispensable has been in races of at least 1.8 miles, 2 on the turf, and all where he finished 3rd. So he's got the experience, but no win. Now, he has that win in his last race. He's got an excellent trainer who knows how to get horses into the winner's circle of the Pacific Classic. He's also got fast workouts. Go look at his workouts. And he's 4 and he can improve. But for me, I think the waters are too deep to see him in the winner's circle. But also for me personally, I would consider him underneath. The number 6 horse is Journalism, the only 3-year-old in the field. And we have seen in the past 30 years, 3-year-olds have won 5 times. Now, this isn't just any 3-year-old. This is journalism. And if it wasn't for sovereignty, he could have been a Triple Crown winner, just kind of like Sham to Secretariat. Now, sovereignty is one of the strongest horses out there, and we've seen in a very long time. So coming in second to sovereignty is really no joke. Trained by Michael McCarthy, he'll be ridden by Umberto Rispoli, his regular rider. He's been on him for all but one start. This horse has raced in 7 graded stakes races. You want class? You've got class. And in every single graded stakes race, he has finished first or second. Consistency in the exacta. The only time he finished second was when he met up with sovereignty. Now looking at his angles, he's only missing 2, and they are key trainer and running style. Journalism tends to be 2 to 3 lengths back, sometimes even more than the leader at the half pole. But even though he doesn't have this angle, I would not hold it against him. Just look at the Preakness. He was 5 lengths off of the leader at the half pole and somehow squeezed between horses, gained enough momentum, got the lead, and won. Now let's look at his speed ratings. He has some of the top buyers in the field. In his last 6 races, he has produced triple-digit buyers in 5 of those races, with the top buyer being 108. Incredibly consistent. His last race was the G1 Haskell, a 1 1/8 at Mammoth. Again, he was far from the leader at the half pole, 6 1/4 lengths. But he came with that big late surge, that oomph we're looking for, and won with a 101 buyer. Since that win, he's come back out west. He's been putting in strong workouts, even a bullet workout on July 12th. Now, he may only be a 3-year-old, and 3-year-olds may have only won this race 5 times. But you just have to ask yourself, is he as strong as Arabian Night, Shared Belief, Doulahan as an example? I think so. And I know he is battle tested, and he has proven himself time and time again, and he is consistent in these big races. Can he take on Fierceness? Well, he's going to have to improve a bit to do so, but he is a 3-year-old, and 3-year-olds have a lot of improvement in them, and I don't think we've seen his best yet. Next up, we got the number 7 horse, Lure Him In. Lure Him In is an 8-year-old trained by Sam Walensky and will be ridden by Hector Barrios. Now, he is the most experienced horse in the field. 53 starts. That's incredible. 11 wins, 10 places, and 9 shows. Lure Him In is light on the angles. He does have a win at the longer distance, but it was back in 2021. He does have Del Mar experience, but so do all the other horses. Now, I do want to give him some props. In his last 5 finishes out, 3 allowance races, 1 $50,000 claiming race, and a handicap at Gulfstream, all of them resulted with him being on the board. 3 wins, a place, and a show. But the buyers, they're light. They're in the high 80s and low 90s. And we're seeing top triple-digit buyers by other contenders in this race. Now, you have to love a horse who is always showing up every time, and that's Lure Him In. But for me, he's just not a top contender. Now, finally, we have the last contender of the Pacific Classic, the number 8 horse, Tarantino. Trained by Peter Urton, he'll be ridden by Edwin Maldonado. This is a 7-year-old with 31 starts, 4 wins, 8 places, and 6 shows. Now, although he's 7, he has been competing and showing up in graded stakes races. In fact, he prepped in the San Diego Handicap, a key prep race for this race. Going a mile and a 16th here at Del Mar, he stalked the leader, but he weakened and came in third with a 93 buyer. Who beat him that day? The number 4 horse in this race, Nysos. Prior to that, he was in another key prep race, the G2 Hollywood Gold Cup, where he finished 4th with an 87 buyer. So he's been prepping in graded stakes races, but no win. He's got the Del Mar experience and has the running style that I really like, but he's missing those graded stakes wins and a win at the longer distance. Now he's by Pioneer of the Nile, so you would think he could go the longer distances, but he's 7 and he's tried the longer distances 7 times and hasn't gotten the win. I like how this horse has improved after being claimed last summer, but without some of these key angles, he's just personally not going to be a win contender for me. Now it's your turn. Drop me a comment below. Who do you really like in the Pacific Classic? Is it going to be Fierceness? Is it going to be Nysos? Journalism? Someone else? Also, East Coast versus West Coast. What is the key race this week? Pacific Classic or the Jockey Club Gold Cup? Now hit like and hit subscribe because I am coming back. Summer may be over, but we are on our way to Breeders' Cup and Derby prep races. You got it. Those Derby prep races coming your way. I hope you all find your winner in these hot races this weekend. Cheers.